long before we start up the movement? How long we gon' keep letting them do us? How long before we start up the movement? How long we gon' keep letting them do us? How long before we say fuck this piece shit and grab them clappers? How long before we lose our voices shouting Black Lives Matter? How long we gon' keep letting them disrespect our president? How long we gon' keep letting them terrorize our residents? I'm sick of this shit, it's word to Bernie Mac. How long before we police ourselves, take our own streets back? How long before Uncle Tom hid and hate on this shit? How long before they take a shot at me for making this shit? How long I gotta wait for justice for Josiah Shaw? How long we gotta fake it till we can take it and whack 'em all? How long we not gonna make these youngins pull their pants up? How long we gon' keep letting them shoot us down with our hands up? How long we gon' keep killing our own and making these streets hot? How long will what I say to you stay with you when the beats stop? How long's your attention span? How long you watch the news? You ain't down to shake shit up with the rebels for the cause? I ain't talking to you.
Hey, yo, what's going on, everybody? How y'all doing tonight? Good to see you. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to Provoked Thoughts, man. It's your boy, Provoked Thoughts. I'm here chilling, man. Tonight's going to be a little bit of a different night. I'm actually here by myself. My man Noobs is out, dealing with his pops and, just doing a family thing with his wife and stuff like that. So we'll see him, of course, in a couple of weeks. Wish him the best. I'm going to try to probably give him a call. I've been letting him do his thing because he, needs to do his thing just like everybody else, man. I do apologize that I wasn't able to go live on Monday, but, things happen. That's part of life, I'll try to make it up to you tonight and have something going for you a little bit. Just to let y'all know, it's kind of interesting, man. Been kind of watching off and on this ridiculousness is going on in New York. It's like I'm watching something happen all over again. It's deja vu for me, watching the R. Kelly situation go down and watching how the government can literally manufacture a case with no crime, no real semblance of a victim or anything like that, and just, try to put somebody in jail behind it, and it's getting to a point where, it's a grave injustice, man. It is a grave injustice to see what's happening to a former president, something unprecedented that never has happened in our society ever. Like, we've never seen this. This is brand new to me. I'm sure it's brand new to you. I just don't know how to even speak on this, man, sometimes, but then I do. I mean, right now it's just like, wow, man, you really going through with this nothingness, man. And, you can hear from the media, but, I'd rather you hear from the man himself, man. Let's go ahead and see how, our former president really, really feel.
Well, I think the gag order is totally unconstitutional. Can't even allow articles to be put in. As an example, these are articles that were over the last day and a half. They're very good articles. They say the case is a sham and it shouldn't even be tried. It shouldn't have been submitted. And I don't even know if you're allowed to put them in. We have a gag order, which to me is totally unconstitutional. I'm not allowed to talk, but people are allowed to talk about me. So they can talk about me. They can say whatever they want. They can lie. But I'm not allowed to say anything. I just have to say.
Yeah, to all my R. Kelly supporters out there, man, don't that sound familiar? They lie, they say whatever they want to say, but he can't say nothing. Thoroughly muted. They mute you and then prosecute you. That's what they trying to do.
Sit back and look at why a conflicted judge has ordered me to have a gag order. I don't think anybody's ever seen anything like this. I'd love to talk to you people. I'd love to say everything that's on my mind. But I'm restricted because I have a gag order. And I'm not sure that anybody's ever seen anything like this before. And even having to do with articles, somebody writes an article. If I read every one of these articles incomplete, I read some of it and I'll look at headlines, all good headlines, that the case is a sham. but I can't read the whole thing. I'd be reading, this is like reading a novel. So I put an article in, and then somebody's name is mentioned somewhere deep in the article, and I end up in violation of a gag order. I think it's a disgrace. It's totally unconstitutional. I don't believe it's never, not to this extent, ever happened before. I'm not allowed to defend myself, and yet other people are allowed to say whatever they want about me. Very, very unfair. Having to do with the schools and the closings, that's Biden's fault. And by the way, this trial is all Biden. You know, this is all Biden, just in case anybody has any question. And they're keeping me in a courtroom that's freezing, by the way, in a courtroom all day long. Well, he's out campaigning. That's probably an advantage because he can't campaign. Nobody knows what he's doing. He can't put two sentences together. But he's out campaigning. He's out campaigning, and I'm here in a courtroom, sitting here, sitting up as straight as I can all day long, because you know what? It's a very unfair situation. So we're locked up in a courtroom, and this guy's out there campaigning. If you call it a campaign, every time he opens his mouth, he gets himself into trouble. So that's the story. I have an unconstitutional gag order by a highly conflicted judge that should recuse himself. Very simple. On the schools, should have never happened. What's going on in this country now should have never happened. But of course, the Ukraine war would have never happened. The Israeli attack would have never happened. Inflation would have never happened. We have the worst president in the history of our country, and he's the one that has us in all these different lawsuits. Thank you very much.
You know, and that's, you know, if you heard that at the end, that's what pretty much all of these goofballs are really, really concerned about. They want this man to go to jail. And, you know, they literally waited, like Joe was saying, shout out to Joe, man. And they waited until an election year to bring all this stuff forth. I mean, why would you sit up here and just wait until the ninth inning of the game to do this? Because you're trying to throw a monkey wrench in the game. It's clear as day. I mean, anybody, a child, could literally see what's really happening. I mean, it's a monkey wrench being thrown into the game, just like, you know, a lot of cases that we have seen, a lot of cases we done talked about. You know, this is New York. We know what New York did to R. Kelly, and this is the same thing. They pretty much saying that Donald Trump had misdemeanors. And, you know, the statute of limitation ran out. So they took it to a federal level to go for felonies. Now, this is not exactly a RICO, but it's pretty much the same thing because they're talking about conspiracy this and conspiracy that. But when you get to talking about conspiracy, where are the co-conspirators? Where are the people who actually, you know, you got Michael Cohen that you are about to bring up on the stand, but if what you're saying is true, he's a co-conspirator. He needs to be sitting right next to Donald Trump. If this is really about justice, if this is really about somebody breaking the law and doing something wrong, you want to get everybody right. I mean, so it makes no sense to make me believe that, you know, Donald Trump was sitting up here looking at every piece of paperwork, sign, you know, and everything that was coming across. This man, Michael Cohen, was his fixer. I don't want to see it. Get rid of it. You know, the dude from the National Enquirer. I don't see a crime in telling somebody, well, if somebody's saying some negative stuff about me, just kill it. Leave it alone. And then they try to make it seem all salacious and crazy. Oh, the catch and kill scheme. Catch and kill. You know, and they put these things in people's heads, you know, to vilify and monsterify people, man. There's nothing more ridiculous than that. And there's literally no underlying, they can't even say, they say, well, he committed an underlying, it was for other underlying crime, but you don't even tell anybody what the underlying crime is. So the jurors are just sitting there in the dark, you know, and they hoping that they got, you know, a Trump hating jury that can, you know, find him guilty. But basically one of the main things that they really want to do is cripple him or maybe even jail him so he can't campaign. That, you know, whether they win it on appeal or not, this is election interference at its finest. New York is the shadiest, man. They literally sit here and they pervert the law. They pervert the law and they turn it on its ear in order to convict one person when they want to go after one person. And it's like people are literally acting like he committed cold-blooded murder. And it makes no sense to me. It really doesn't. You know, I've been watching a lot of stuff today, you know, and I have, you know, something from a man over at Firebrand Media, Unwoke Thoughts. So we going to get our transcript on real quick.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back continuing on with Donald Trump's hush money trial. David Pecker, this CEO of this tabloid magazine company and a friend of Donald Trump's, this one that did this catch and kill thing, whenever a negative story would come out, he would pay for it and then they would suppress it, is what the prosecution is alleging. And apparently he has some insight into what's going on with Stormy Daniels, Michael Cohen, and this whole situation. So he is retaking the stand, and we are back a little bit late. Looks like 11:20 instead of 11 o'clock. So we are 20 minutes late. What's going on, Judge Merchan? But Merchan enters the courtroom, and he says, "Welcome back, Mr. Pecker. I remind you that you are still under oath. Get the jury, please." The jury enters, and we have Steinglass representing the prosecution, and he says, "We were talking about Bonnie Fuller. Are you familiar with Trish McAndrews?" And Pecker says, I recognize the name, but the prosecutor, Steinglass, interrupts. "Oh, she was your assistant, right, Trish?" Pecker says, "Yes, I only called her Trish." Steinglass says, "Well, not remembering the name of your assistant, that's not going to go over well. What about Mr. Trump?" Pecker says, "Well, he's sitting right there. He's in a blue suit, red tie. Looks nice." Steinglass says, "Well, how's your relationship with Mr. Trump?" Pecker says, "I proposed him a Trump-style magazine. He liked the idea, but asked who it'll be for. Like, who's going to read this?" Steinglass says, "And after you bought the National Enquirer?" Pecker says, "Well, Mr. Trump introduced me to people in New York." Steinglass, "Well, what about The Apprentice?" Pecker says, "Well, that and Celebrity Apprentice. If someone was going to be fired, Mr. Trump would give me the information first. It was good for my magazine." So he got inside information on who was going to be fired in The Apprentice. Steinglass, "Well, how often would you call him?" Pecker says, "Well, Donald, we spoke monthly or so." "And did it change in 2015? "Well, yes, I saw him more frequently when he began to run for president. We'd speak every couple of weeks." "Did you speak with Mr. Trump's secretary, Ronna Graff, and bodyguard Keith Schiller?" Pecker says, "Yeah, I spoke to both of them." "And when and where did you meet Mr. Cohen?" "Well, I met him at a bar mitzvah probably around 2000. Then Mr. Trump introduced me to him in 2007. He said Mr. Cohen lived in one of his condominiums. Mr. Trump told me to tell Mr. Cohen when there were rumors about him." Steinglass says, "Well, from 2015 to 2017, how often did you speak to Michael Cohen?" "Well, I spoke to him every week or possibly daily." "Do you know who Hope Hicks is?" "Yes, Mr. Trump's communications director. She also worked for Ivanka's beauty business. But once Mr. Trump ran for president, our magazine would sell best with him on the cover. He was seen as the boss on his show. We did a poll, and 80% of the readership of the National Enquirer wanted him to run for president. Matt Lauer also interviewed him. Michael Cohen invited me to Mr. Trump's announcement of his candidacy for president." Steinglass, People's 151, "Mr. Pecker, do you recognize it?" Pecker says, "Well, an email from me from Michael Cohen, June 2nd, 2015, inviting me to the June 16th announcement." Mr. Trump and Melania came down the staircase. Steinglass says, well, did you attend a meeting in Trump Tower in mid-August? Pecker says, yes. Michael Cohen told me the boss wanted to see me. They asked me what my magazine could do for the campaign. I saw that we could publish positive stories about Donald Trump and negative stories about his opponents. And I'd notify Michael Cohen if a woman's story about him was being sold. Trump was known as the most eligible bachelor, dating the most beautiful women. Steinglass asked, well, did the names of Bill and Hillary come up? Becker says, well, yes. Hillary was running and there was Bill Clinton's womanizing, which she enabled. I said I would cover it. Our readers loved it. And Mr. Trump was pleased that I'd do it. Michael Cohen, too. Well, did you believe it was helping you sell magazine? Yes, and I needed the help. Prosecutor, did you discuss this with anyone? Well, I discussed it with Dylan Howard. I told him, let's keep this quiet. Well, why?
Where's the crime? Somebody tell me where's the crime. It's crazy. I mean, there is no crime. I mean, this is what the left does every day with CNN, MSNBC, and CBS, man. Every single day that they live and breathe, they do this. And it's insane. It's insane that they do this and they're able to do this, and there is zero accountability, but yet they can prosecute a man for the same thing that they're doing, and it is absolutely ridiculous. It is crazy as hell. I don't understand what's going on.
Well, being a tabloid magazine company, we had leaks. Well, are these a series of pro-Trump headlines? And the prosecutor holds up a Dick Morris, how Donald Trump still trumps the polls. He's holding up these headlines, and he's showing them to David Pecker. Trump's lawyer says, well, we had asked for the limiting instruction. Judge Merchant says, all right, jurors, these are not being offered for their truth. And Pecker says, okay, yes, Michael Cohen would say we would like you to run an article against, let's say, Ted Cruz. Then Michael Cohen would send over some negative information, and Michael Cohen told me he was not with the campaign. Steinglass, what did you understand to be the relation between Michael Cohen and the campaign? Trump's lawyer, objection. Justice Merchant, overruled. Remember, Trump lawyer, you cannot talk in the courtroom. The other side, the prosecution, they can talk all they want, but let's just set a precedent from here. All your objections are overruled. Becker says, Cohen was physically there in Trump Tower, the campaign office. Steinglass, I introduced these articles. I show you these bungling surgeon Ben Carson left sponge in patient's brain. And quote, Ted Cruz shamed by adult film star. Did you run this in the National Enquirer? Becker says, oh, yes. We would send the PDFs to Michael Cohen pre-publication. And this one, quote, Donald Trump blasts Ted Cruz's dad for photo with JFK assassin. Yes, we did that as well. And how about Marco Rubio? This headline right here, it says, quote, Senator Marco Rubio's cocaine connection. Was Rubio gaining in the polls? Becker says, yeah, I guess so. And how about Steve Bannon? Becker says, well, I sent him a bunch of Hillary articles to his apartment somewhere on the Upper West.
Still trying to figure out the crime. I don't understand where the crime is. That's crazy. Like, what did he do?
Side. Steinglass, did Steve Bannon ever pitch articles to you? Trump's lawyer says, objection. Overruled. Shh, be quiet, defense. Once again, did Steve Bannon ever ask you to run any article? Trump's lawyer, objection, may I be heard at the sidebar? And the defense and the prosecution walks up to the sidebar. Merchant, jurors, we're going to have to discuss this. You may step out. Jurors leave. Now we have Trump's lawyer, Emil Bove, speaking. He said, this is eliciting hearsay from Steve Bannon. He's not alleged to be a co-conspirator in this case. There's no conspiracy charge in this case. And then Steinglass said, well, we're eliciting a verbal act, what Bannon asked Pecker to do. This will come up again. Bannon's name is all over this case. Justice Merchant says, okay, bring in the jury. Please be seated, Mr. Steinglass. Steinglass says, well, when you were CEO of AMI, did the business records include invoices and non-disclosure agreements? Yes. Have you reviewed the records, including emails in this thumb drive? Yes. Were they collected pursuant to a search warrant? Yes. I offer these exhibits 154 to 170, 179, and the A exhibits 171 through 178. Trump's lawyer, objection. Then they have another sidebar. Merchant says, all right, the defense objection is noted and overruled. To the extent there is embedded hearsay, we'll deal with it as it comes up. Have you heard of Dino Sudgen? Becker says, well, yeah, he was selling a story about Donald Trump who had an illegitimate daughter with a maid. I told Michael Cohen as part of our August agreement. Cohen said he would verify the name and call back. Well, then what? I told Dylan we should prepare a source agreement that Dino should take a polygraph. Prosecutor says, well, what were you about to say? I don't say that. What is a source agreement? Becker says, with a tipster, we get exclusive rights, say 90 days. Well, did you do one with Mr. Sudgen? Yes, and we arranged a $500 polygraph. Please do not speak about polygraph results. Snapped Steinglass. Becker says, okay. We bought it for $30,000. Cohen told me Mr. Trump would take a DNA test. He is German-Irish, and this woman is Hispanic. Well, did you buy it? If it was true, it would have been our biggest seller since the death of Elvis Presley. Prosecutor, okay, People's 154 Sudgen contract. Read it. Becker, $30,000 as set forth below. We hired an investigator and found that the story was 1,000% untrue. Well, why did you pay? Well, if another outlet gets it, I'd be embarrassed. Steinglass, okay, I show you People's Exhibit 164. This is an email. Objection. Merchant, all right, lawyers, please approach. A whisper at the sidebar. Merchant, all right, I'll admit it. Subject to redaction. Becker, the email requests a wire transfer in his W-9. Well, what did Cohen say about it? Becker says, well, to lock him, Sudgen, in until after the election. Prosecution. Did there come a time you did release him? Yes. Sharon Churcher was another reporter.
So from what I'm gathering, man, what they trying to do is say that him having a tabloid quash stories is a problem. That's a problem. I mean, I don't understand what's happening here. I mean, because we watch it happen every day. We don't see MSNBC talking about how African-American people are supporting Trump and how Hispanic people are supporting Trump and how even immigrants are supporting Trump. It's ridiculous for them to say, oh, well, he's wrong for the same things that they're doing. It's cool when they do it, but it's a problem when he does it. Totally unfair, totally ridiculous, man. It's totally ridiculous.
She worked for Barry Levine. This is Dino's release. Well, who was Karen McDougal? Well, she was a Playboy model who is trying to sell a story about a relationship she had with Donald Trump for a year. I told Cohen, he said it was untrue, and I wanted to vet it. Did you discuss paying? No. I told Cohen we'd keep him apprised. All right. Did you come to believe Cohen had spoken with Mr. Trump? Yes, I was at my biggest investor in AMI in New Jersey making a presentation, and Donald Trump called me. He said he'd have Cohen call me. Then I sent Dylan Howard out to California. He met the lawyer Keith Davidson, and Karen interviewed her for a couple hours. In that time, I spoke with Cohen. He kept on calling me, more anxious each time. All right, Judge Merchant said. All right, I'm getting tired. It's 2:00. Let's take a break. And Judge Merchant addresses the objection by Donald Trump's lawyer. He says, all right, Mr. Bove, your objection is noted. I'll take under review. Prosecution says, we'll put it in a letter. So that concludes David Pecker's testimony for today. It looks like David Pecker is testifying that he had this hand in squashing negative stories about Donald Trump. He would probably have people come to him and say, oh, look, I have some big dirt on Donald Trump. And whether they were true or not, he would vet them and decide if there was, any facts concerning their case. And, he was Donald Trump's friend. And if it was negative and it was true, he would quash it. And if it was negative and it was false, he'd be like, okay, this has no validity to it whatsoever. But that's what we have for today, guys. Once again, I'm going to be covering this and reading this transcript about what goes on in the courtroom. And if you like this and if this interests you, please subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. Like and comment. Let me know what you think about this down below. Until then, I will see you on the next one. All right, ladies.
Shout out to my man, Unwoke Thought, man, over there at Firebrand Media, doing his thing, reading them transcripts and everything. And Kilroy girl, I am doing great. Thank you very much. Shout out to my girl, Kilroy girl. Hey, everybody who is sitting here and watching me right now, make sure, just make sure that you hit that like button, man. Share and subscribe, man. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to do anything to you. And the only thing that it's going to do is going to help me out a little bit. And that shouldn't bother you at all. I mean, you should be cool with that. I mean, we really need to go ahead and get this channel up. We're actually trying to get to 500. We slow rolling it. I'm not really tripping about it, but at the same time, I would like to grow. We have some really, really good content and information over here for everybody. So, it's a Tuesday night. It's a little bit different for me. So, I'm not going to really kill y'all with any information. I'm going to see y'all tomorrow night where we're going to go ahead and just get into some things, man. It seems like everybody is on whatever they own this evening, and I'm cool with that. I'm going to go ahead and get on mine. So, never mind me when I cut out of here. So I will holler at y'all. Y'all be easy, and it's been one. Love. All right.
How long before we start up the movement? How long we gon' keep letting them do us? How long before we start up the movement? How long we gon' keep letting them do us? How long before we say fuck this piece shit and grab them clappers? How long before we lose our voices shouting Black Lives Matter? How long we gon' keep letting them disrespect our president? How long we gon' keep letting them terrorize our residents? I'm sick of this shit. It's word to Bernie Mac. How long before we police ourselves, take our own streets back? How long for Uncle Tom here and hate on this shit? How long before they take a shot at me for making this shit? How long I gotta wait for justice for Josiah Shaw? How long we gotta fake it till we can take it and whack 'em all? How long we not gonna make these youngins pull their pants up? How long we gonna keep letting them shoot us down with our hands up? How long we gonna keep killing our own and making these streets hot? How long will what I say to you stay with you when the beat stop? How long's your attention span? How long you watch the news? You ain't down to shake shit up with the rebels for the cause? I ain't talking to you.